My name is Michelle Bachmann. I'm a member of the United States Congress from the United States of America. And joining me are two other members of Congress, Representative Steve King of Iowa and also Louie Gohmert of Texas. Each one of us have something that we would like to say to the people of Egypt. First of all, I would like to be able to say that we are grateful to be here today. We had wonderful meetings with your new president, with General al-Sisi, and also with the Coptic Pope today, and we were extremely encouraged by what we heard, because what we see in Egypt emerging is a new hope and a new day for the Egyptian people. We see that the economy has a chance now to grow and survive and thrive, and that the people of Egypt can look forward to a great future for their children and grandchildren. It's a window of opportunity that Egypt can now take. And we are here as members of Congress to say, we're with you and we encourage you, because together we've gone through suffering. Together, our country in the United States and Egypt have dealt with the same enemy. It's a common enemy, and it's an enemy called terrorism. Now the people of Egypt have spoken. And the people of Egypt rightly are asking questions about the American people and what our level of commitment is. And as members of Congress, we can speak for ourselves and for the people of our district. And I want to assure the people of Egypt that I, as a member of Congress, will stand strong in support of continuing military support for the United States support financially to stand for the military in Egypt. We know that you have been a partner. You've been a partner in the war on terrorism. You've acted bravely here on the front lines. And we want to make sure that you have the Apache helicopters, the F-16s, the equipment that you have so bravely used to capture terrorists and to take care of this menace that's on your border. Many of you have asked, do we understand who the enemy is? We can speak for ourselves. We do. We have seen the threat that the Muslim Brotherhood has posed here for the people in Egypt. We've seen the threat that the Muslim Brotherhood has posed around the world. We stand against this great evil. We are not for them. We remember who caused 9/11 in America. We remember who it was that killed 3,000 brave Americans. We have not forgotten. We know that you have dealt with that enemy as well. And so we are here as partners. We all have a lot that we want to say. And so now I'd like to invite my colleague, Steve King of Iowa, to come and give remarks to the Egyptian people as well.
Thank you, Michelle Bachmann. My name is Steve King. I'm a congressman from Iowa in the United States of America. And first I'd like to say to the Egyptian people that many of my constituents and neighbors have come to Egypt to train in the Sinai with the Egyptian military. There's a strong bond that's built there, serving together in uniform in the desert to train for those kind of crises that we can work together on. And I want to mention that we've had outstanding meetings today with the President of Egypt and with General al-Sisi, with the Pope of the Coptic Church, and also with the President of the American Chamber of Commerce here. And we see opportunities for economic growth and development. But I'm here to congratulate the Egyptian people for 30 million Egyptians coming to the streets all over this country to take your country back from the people that were going to deny the future and the freedom of the Egyptian people. It's always been encouraging to see how pivotal a role that Egypt has played in the world. And there is not a prospect of a successful peace in the Middle East if Egypt isn't strong, or if the United States and Egypt are not working together. We want that to happen. We want to provide the resources necessary to support the Egyptian military, to support continued operations between the American military and the Egyptian military. And I'm here also to encourage the new interim government to continue with the timetable that they've set out for a new constitution and a vote on a new constitution, then election of a new president. This looks to me like the stable future for Egypt, and a strong, stable future for Egypt is good for all the world. So I congratulate the Egyptian people for coming to the streets, for standing up for your own liberty and your own freedom. And we as the American people stand with you, and we stand against the Muslim Brotherhood. The American people do not support the Muslim Brotherhood. We oppose all forms of terror and terrorism. And I'd like to introduce then Congressman Louie Gohmert from Texas.
Well, thank you, and it has been wonderful to be here in Egypt, be here in Cairo, where so much of the history of humanity has found origins. So it's great to be here, and I must confess, I have been someone who is very skeptical in Washington about providing military arms, F-16s, tanks, money to Egypt, because I knew that there was a Muslim Brotherhood member, although he said he was a former member, but Morsi was in charge of the country. I was not in favor of providing money and arms to a country run by a former or present Muslim Brotherhood member. I have been extremely encouraged as we've met with the interim president, with General al-Sisi, and so many other of the leaders of this country, numerous leaders. It's just really been encouraging. But one of the things that we've seen, and that encourages me, we met with, for a long meeting, General al-Sisi and many of the military leaders. And my friend Steve King mentioned again about our heritage in America. George Washington, doing what no one had ever done before him, led a military in revolution, won the revolution, and then resigned and went home. No one had ever done that today. And we met in General al-Sisi, a man who is leader of the military, who might have a shot at being elected president, but is more concerned about giving his life to help his country, Egypt. This is a country America needs to be very good friends with now and encourage this incredible step down the road of liberty. I was reminded of the words of Thomas Paine. He said, in America, law is king. Thomas Paine being one of our founders. He said, even the most powerful can't place themselves above it. The weakest are never beneath its protection, and no corrupt institution is too big to fail. Those were words from a founder in the United States, and they certainly seem to apply here in Egypt now. Yes, we've seen another bombing this week by the bloodthirsty Muslim brothers who want to destabilize things here, who want that large caliphate to expand, and yet the people of Egypt rose up and made clear to the world, we're not going to have this. We don't want radical Islamists controlling the country. And to know that right here in Egypt, you had moderate Muslims, you had Christians, you had Jews, you had secularists coming to the streets in millions and millions, historic numbers, all peacefully to say, we want to live in peace, we want to live with liberty, and this means no radical Islamists running this country. We had heard that the Sinai was being fixed by President Morsi. We find out more information and find he was loading it up with weapons and creating a very destabilizing situation. The military is stepping in, and they're attempting to fix that. But it is so encouraging to know that those who do not want radical Islam, that just want to live in liberty and peace with their neighbors, have taken over in this country. It was so encouraging to know there is a roadmap. There will be elections, and there will be newly elected leaders, not this time a ram through Muslim Brotherhood, but this time people who want to live and let live and allow liberty, and that will, by doing so, allow Egypt to see a glimpse again of its former greatness. Now, I love what Jefferson said. Thomas Jefferson is one of our founders in the United States. He said, I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility to every form of tyranny over the minds of men. That's what we saw in the military leaders. That's what we saw in the secular leaders of this country, the leaders of the civil government. This is so encouraging. So I know that all three of us have talked, and with other colleagues, and we want to go back and encourage our country. Let's help this ally. Egypt is an ally. This is someone that we can trust. This is someone that we can work with. This is someone who can be a partner in the war against those who would seek to rule with terror. I'm just greatly blessed and encouraged, and really to see even the thoughts of forgiveness and love from the Coptic Christian Pope today, and all of those with whom he works, and the kind comments about the Muslims who have been so supportive, and then to hear from moderate Muslims who just want to live in peace. This is a good time. There's going to be growing pains, just as there were in America. There's going to be more violence, more bombings like we've seen this week, because the radical Muslim Brotherhood will not want to give up Egypt without a big fight. Stand strong, Egypt. Stand firm. Don't weaken in your resolve. You have friends that want to see you back on the world stage again. Thank you.
We think there may be some questions that you all may have, and if you do, we are more than happy to answer them. If you have any questions at this time. The one question that's come forward again is it appears that the Obama administration has been backing the Muslim Brotherhood in recent months, and where do we all stand? It's very important, I think, for the people of Egypt to know that we have differences of opinion in our country as well. And that's why we're here before these microphones, because we wanted the people of Egypt to know. You have very strong voices in the United States Congress that want to stand with the goal that you have of living for a good life for your children here in a growing nation that is going to see more freedom, more jobs, and more prosperity. We're here for you. And we agree with that. And there are other members of Congress that share that same belief. Because, again, we have that common enemy in the terrorists who've shown themselves so recently in the form of the Muslim Brotherhood. The point is, we don't have a choice. They must be defeated. Because otherwise, their goal will be to come in and to continue the tyranny that we saw most recently here in Egypt. They must be defeated. You've already taken that first step to defeat them. As my colleague Louie Gohmert said, you were 30 million strong in the streets. For each one of us, we were cheering in front of our televisions back home in the United States. We watched you on June 30th. We watched you on July 3rd. We were cheering for you. People across the United States were saying, finally, a second chance for Egypt, a new day for Egypt and for the children of Egypt. This is what we want for you. And you need to know that our resolve is going to stand. And it is firm. We are for standing with you. We are for standing with American contributions to your nation so we can help you in your effort to defeat our common enemy, which are the terrorists, known as the Muslim Brotherhood. Because again, we don't misunderstand this enemy. We don't underestimate this enemy. We know the real facts of this enemy, and we're willing to stand up with you in partnership and look this enemy in the eye and make sure this terrorism is defeated. Why? So that one day this bloodshed will finally come to an end. And one day the children of Egypt will know peace. They will have jobs. They will have a good home. And then they can have dreams for their children as well. And so we thank you. And if my colleagues have something else to add.
Bachmann, would you express for the three of us whether we believe there was a small military coup or whether this was something much different?
This is a very important question, whether or not what happened by all of you the Egyptian people, the 30 million who gathered in the streets to cry out again for freedom. Was this a coup?